Hey Gerardo, thank you for taking your time to sit down with me and to trying to explain a bit more about your formula that you're working with. Obviously, I've been here for the last week and it completely changed my mind. No, life. Okay, again. Hey Gerardo, first of all, I want to thank you to sit down with me and to be willing to talk about your formula. Obviously, I've been here for the past week trying to heal from my mental disorder, my eating disorder, and the week just completely changed my mind. Bloopers!
Bloopers, yeah.
Okay, last time. Come on,
Oh,
girl.
oh. Come on, girl.
Hey Gerardo, first of all, I want to thank you to sit down with me and explain a little bit more about the formula you're working with. Obviously, I spent the last week with you here to heal from my eating disorder, and I got so much more out of it. Therefore, I want to sit down with you and allow you to talk a little bit more, share your voice with the world, and let's see what we can do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for being so brave and taking such a bold step in your healing process. Um, Here at Ascension Retreats, we have used the formula that I've put together ever since Magic Mushroom saved my life from a crippling depression 7 years ago. And everything I learned over the years, I've put together all of that knowledge and all the practices and the modalities into a pretty basic formula using very powerful healing modalities. And so that's the product of what you experienced here. It's a combination of using plant medicine, nature, reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with the universe, and philosophy and a specific therapy called IFS therapy, internal family systems, to really get to know yourself. And the basis of healing is that all of our issues and everything in our health, our body is the physical manifestation of our consciousness. So everything you see happening, the opening quote in my book is actually by David R. Hawkins, says, everything you see happening is the consequence of that which you are. Okay, so that wraps up the entire philosophy of um, how we assist people to heal. So we take what is happening, right? Take that sentence, everything's happening. What is happening? Okay, that's the consequence of what you are. So let's dissect what you are at the very core of your foundation of your consciousness. Dissect it, heal from the inside out, and then you will manifest out into a healthy body. And that's, in a nutshell, the philosophy.
Okay.
So, you arrived here a week ago.
Yeah.
With a very crippling eating disorder, bulimia. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and just a little bit about what your life was like the previous 8 years prior to arriving here? And then we can dive into your experience here and then how you are doing now.
Okay, so for the past 8 years, I've been suffering from the bulimia. It's called bulimia as the term, but when I was in psychiatry, because before I came here, I was in psychiatry, I tried all the traditional ways of healing. I tried therapy, psychiatry, medicine, and nothing helped. So I met other people there that also were suffering from bulimia, but they were suffering in a different way than I did. Some were addicted to vomiting. They felt like they had no voice, and when they vomited, like they got to say what they wanted to say. There were people that just couldn't keep their food inside and they wanted to vomit. And then there's me. I'm like a food addict. So I just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat so much. And at one point, after a few years, I learned about bulimia. I learned that vomiting was an option, and like I ate so much, it came naturally. And when I got to the point that I was able to vomit like easily, right now it goes out as easy as it goes in. It like destroyed my life because then the cycle was unstoppable. I could go again and again and again and again, day in, day out. And even in my dreams, I'm like eating and binging, even today, in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it was, for me, it was like a hunt. Like my whole life depended on it. I couldn't be present in the moment. I couldn't be sitting with even my loved ones. I was like, oh, I need to go home because I have this thing to do. And then I would just pass every store and like get more food. And just on the way home, I was already feeling myself. And there was no control as to a point that I lost everything. Like, I was terrorizing my boyfriend because if I didn't eat, I acted like a monster and I was insulting him the whole time. Um, on my job, I was binge eating and hoping nobody saw me. Until today, I don't know if anybody saw me. Um, I was isolating myself because I was so embarrassed of my issues, and I thought that the world knew, everybody knew. I didn't go to social events. I didn't go to the baptism of my godchild. I didn't go to marriages of my friends, birthdays, because I was so scared that I was going to eat. But then, of course, I stayed home, and what did I do? I go to the store and I eat even more. But I lived like this constant shame. I knew what I was doing and I had no control over it. There was a lot of suffering, and the pattern just became stronger and stronger until the point that I really got depressed. Like my dopamine levels got really out of hand. Usually, people are like on a basic level of dopamine, but as I was eating, I was always needing more and more and more just to reach the same amount of dopamine. And then my base dopamine level just dropped. So then I was just like eating just to reach normal level of dopamine. So therefore, I got very depressed. My dopamine was gone. There was no dopamine left unless if I ate, and I didn't even get felt the joy anymore. It didn't give me any spike, any high like it used to do. It was just like a survival method. So that's when I got really depressed, and that's how I ended up in psychiatry with depression. They gave me some antidepressants. It worked. It worked for a little while. Like the depression left for sure, I have to say, but the behavior just continued. When I got back home, I fell in a very dark place. I hit rock bottom. There was no solution. I was desperate. Um, thank God I never thought about killing myself because I had this coping mechanism that was there for me to comfort me and help me escape reality, but I was in a very dark place. So after psychiatry, after taking medication, after going to many places and nobody understanding my specific problem, my specific, like it wasn't seen as bulimia, but it was also not seen as an addiction. There was nobody that could help me. So I was desperate, and then in that despair, like the medicine just called me to Oaxaca, and I didn't expect to come to Mexico ever again. I've been here. I didn't really like Tulum and Cancun and those places, but yeah, it called me to Oaxaca. I came here, and ever since I allowed my intuition to guide me from the first moment I dropped off the plane. Only miracles started happening to me. And when I needed money, the money just somebody gave me money. When I needed a place to stay, everything. I met these beautiful people. I felt such a lack of connection in my life, and I met these angels on my path. I spent the week. I was like, I had so I have no words to describe. So that's how I ended up here. And this week has come. I thought last week like changed my life, but this week has been so intense. I came here to solve one issue. I came here to get an idea of how I could heal from my eating disorder. And through the mushrooms, they just showed me what's beyond the human experiences. They connected me to the infinite, to the source, to God, Pachamama, however you want to call it. And they've been great teachers. And you just offering the formula of the IFS, like understanding the way our ego works, all the little parts inside of us. It's not just one inner child. It's like many little parts. And then the mushrooms allow me to be in a space where I am the soul, and I get to analyze my little parts and even talk to them. That, together with the stoicism and understanding that all I have in my power is what I'm doing, how I'm reacting to the world. It's just amazing. Like though that information is out there already made by someone else, but if we read it with our human minds, we really try to get our heads around it and to understand, like just like mindfulness. I have a mindfulness certificate to be a coach, but the practice to be really able to let go of the ego and to be in a moment and to be the soul, the one that is experiencing this whole experience, it's a challenge, and it's so hard. But the mushrooms, they just crunch the ego. they just like
ego killers.
They kill it. They put you down on your knees, and what's left is your soul. and you can feel the connectedness with God and with nature, with every force of nature, like the fire, the water, the plants. It's insane. I have no words, and they taught me so much, and they didn't just teach me, and I still had to learn it. No, you like download it straight in. Like I got the answers now. I don't want to sound like crazy chick, but I understand everything that Jesus and Buddha and all the great leaders were talking about. They wrote it all down in words in the Bible, Quran, and all those books, and that's how religion is created. And I was never interested. I was always spiritual, but I was never interested in like somebody writing shit down and that's the religion now. But I see the effort. Like I got such a big empathy and understanding for the suffering they went through. Like Jesus, he was like needled on the cross. Maria Sabina, she lost her home. She lost everything. Like all the sufferings. Buddha, same thing. Just to spread the word, and they wrote it. Tried to spread the word. They tried to share it with humanity. They wrote it down in words, and then people with our human egos and human minds, we go and try to understand everything. We really try, but we just don't get it because the ego is just so full of trauma and defense mechanism and interpretation of the world based on our previous experiences. And yeah, it's insane. That's how we misinterpret everything that's written down. That's how wars exist between religions, and people die, and there's so much evil in the world coming from God. It's a very sad story, and I get it now. And I really respected the great leaders that came before me, and they really tried to spread the word. They were very effective in a way by spreading it. It's just we humans, we could not get our understanding of the value and the insights that go beyond human experience.
So it sounds like you now understand the implications of ego and how ego really is the source of all issues,
Yes.
individually and society. The illusion of separation.
Yeah.
Right? These wonderful ideas that were spread by Jesus Christ, by Buddha, by all the great philosophers, and especially religion. Then it was hijacked by ego, and then created division. Exactly. No, my God is right, your God is wrong.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous.
And it's the same God.
Yeah. Right.
And all these people had their own experiences with the same God.
Right.
And they
and
integrate.
Then the human mind fragmented.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel like the IFS I've been learning here with you changed all the value that the medicine gave me, because my ego I was able to surrender completely because I learned the techniques. And yeah, I got to sit down, I was in the space, my soul was like reborn, because during life it was just the ego like trying to save me from my trauma, not being triggered, and now the self was there, and she could like present all the little children inside of me to each other, and you're not alone, and you don't have to like binge to escape reality, and you don't have to be fearful for things that don't even have happened yet, because if you're fearful, then the addiction is gonna try to allow you to escape reality. So it's all interfered, and then the soul was there and just witnesses it. Like, I'm the soul, these are just mechanisms, and I got to re-educate them. I get to show them so much gratitude. Specifically my addiction, you were there, like I was like talking to my addiction for 1 hour, like showing so much gratefulness. And then I was really like teaching it that it has done its service. It can now go and find another job. First we were trying to send it away, and then we're like, no, come back, we need you. There's nowhere to go anywhere because it's all connected.
Yeah.
So we need the force. We need it just to be a little bit smarter and to put its power into building more resilience and to serve my higher purpose instead of like protect me from the traumas that I've suffered from.
Yeah, so So it sounds like you understand the mechanism of addiction and how addiction works in a much larger way now, right? And that is definitely what I feel separates what we do here at Ascension Retreats, as opposed to many other areas and healing modalities. Is you do need the knowledge, all this modern science and knowledge. That's why one of our taglines is merging ancient wisdom with modern science, because it is important to understand what we do understand, and yet use the plant medicine and trust the process and feel and experience addiction while understanding the mechanism of IFS, for example. Yeah. So addiction is not inherently a bad thing. Like you mentioned, it saved your life for your entire life, especially for those 8 years. Otherwise, perhaps suicidal ideations would have been a thing. Like with me, I experienced that through my depression. So when you don't have a way out, addiction actually saves your life. Dr. Gabor Mate says that addiction is the most human thing there is. You do anything possible, anything necessary to survive. That's the firefighters in IFS. Douse the pain at all costs. So it is actually a miracle. Addiction is a very human and paradoxically healthy mechanism. So understanding that and not alienating and not vilifying the ego, understanding the ego is not one thing, it's a multiplicity of parts to protect life at all costs, even though paradoxically suicide is the ultimate firefighting activity. So understanding the mechanism, feeling the mechanism, healing these parts of you is what heals addiction. And so it sounds like you understand that process now.
Yeah. And I read about it before the ceremony. I was trying to understand. But it's the mushrooms that really made me understand in such a more profound way.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The mushrooms and psychedelics open up the subconscious. They open your access to the subconscious, because to survive, we need the ego. We only operate on 3 to 5% of our conscious mind. Yes. in normal.
But we need it as a tool. We need it as a tool
exactly.
in life.
A very powerful tool.
And today it has taken over. Exactly. So we need to be very aware. So, for example, last night, my last final ceremony of this tree ceremony that I was planning on doing, I noticed like a lot of trauma coming up, a lot of memories that came up this time. That's an experience I didn't have the other times. I had also beautiful experiences, but like I felt like it happened just in the way, like in order it had to happen. But I got to relive all these memories, and I forgot most of them, and some I was even like, did I even experience? Oh yeah, true, I experienced it. And even memories of my dreams, and all through this vision, through this perception, these glasses I have been wearing my whole life of trauma, because somewhere I felt like I didn't belong, somewhere I had a lack of connection, probably because my father died and my mother raised me while she was very sad, of course. And I lacked a lot of the connection, and therefore every experience up until yesterday, I experienced in a very sad and self-centered way. Oh, I'm so sad. Oh, they don't understand me. They don't want me here. I'm bothering them. I'm a fraud. They think I'm weird. Do I look beautiful enough? Am I being nice enough? Am I even funny? Do they even like my person? Like going insane, but every situation. So yesterday, all of these stuck memories, they were all stuck in my body. Not just big trauma, but just everything. Even in my dreams, oh, they don't like me. That was just my persona, how I went through life. And then my ego was trying to hold on to those memories during the trip and was trying to understand, why did you feel that way? And that's like natural response. Like I have to figure it out so I can heal it. But then thanks to the knowledge, to the book that you gave me to read, like the Untethered Soul, I knew that I didn't, like my mind didn't have to understand any of those traumas. I had to create space, allow them to be there, and then to continue, go on, out of my heart, out of my body. That's where Joe Dispenza comes in with his energy motion explanation. Like the energy is just like an energy in your body, and it gets stuck unless we let it out. And when I was able to surrender to all those memories, all those trauma coming up, my body just starts like shaking. You saw it. And then it was like my right arm was going insane. And I was like, why is this arm? And then I felt like even memories sticks to the arm. Like, oh, those memories are stuck in this arm. And I was like, oh, but why are they stuck? And my mind goes again. And I'm like, oh, no, the mind is going again. The mind needs to chill down. We just need to allow this to happen. And I have to shake so much. And it took over. It took over. And sometimes when I felt so exhausted, I was like, okay, I need to go back again. And then and you saw it. And it's like, we see this shit in like videos online on demonic, satanic things, like the people like look like they're taking over. But this is like the most natural thing, and this made me rethink my workouts and my cardio and everything that I do in my life. I do it all because I want to have a beautiful body, also because I want to be healthy, but most of all because I want to be beautiful. And the intention is just so wrong. So if we go running and we're just running because I want to lose weight, that's not how we're gonna release all this stuck energy, and that's not how we're gonna get healthy. Like last night, after all the shaking, I reinvented yoga. I was stretching so much. I was trying to make new space, like make sure that everything is clean again. But that's also a problem of today's society, right? We were talking about it, like how the spiritual part, the goddess part, is just like taken out of all this beautiful and sacred concepts, just as yoga. We learn we have to still sit with it and feel through the pain and breathe through the pain, but we leave aside the spiritual part, the most important part of the divine. Same thing with you told me about the AA being funded by somebody.
Yeah, Bill Wilson.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Founded, AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, was founded in 1935, 1 year after Bill Wilson had a psychedelic experience in 1934. So he was an alcoholic before this psychedelic experience. It sobered him up, had such a profound impact, just as you've experienced in this week, that he decided to devote his life to healing others from alcoholism. Then he founded Alcoholics Anonymous, and he did try and incorporate LSD into the program because it is the foundation of having that experience. But because of politics and the stigma against LSD at the time, they took it out, therefore leaving out the entire source of his healing. And that's why Alcoholics Anonymous has such a lousy success rate of 8 to 35% success, where now we have thousands and thousands of studies, case studies, decades now since those days of 80 to 90% success rate using psychedelics to heal alcoholism. That's another one of my stories. So, again, we have all of the evidence in the world, but because of political forces, we continue going down the same rabbit hole of closed-mindedness.
I remember because I've been to the OA, Anonymous Overeaters, Overeaters Anonymous. So it's based on the AA, and we would like try to go to the steps and talking about it and sharing our experiences. And then every time when it was about the higher power or God, people would be like, yeah, you can just skip that part because we're not religious anyway. We don't believe anyway. And it's like, I know now that by finding your way back to the divine, the God, however you want to call it, our souls are one with it, is like the most important part, and we just leave it out. Same thing with mindfulness. We're like, we need to be in the moment, and we cannot be in the past, but it's all so much more spiritual.
The 12 steps that is in every anonymous program is based on Bill Wilson's psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
So they lie. The 12 steps, that is its foundation, and they omit the entire source of it. They omit it completely. So they're essentially lying to everybody who comes to them.
And it's so hard.
And that's why it doesn't work.
It's so sad because people need healing. Like last night, after doing this experience, you get this urge from deep within, like you even want to skip your own healing, you just want to scream it from the rooftops. And I was like, how am I going to share this? I can make these retreats, and I know shaking and all those things and massaging and yoga is so important. But I was like, maybe I can do it without the mushroom, but there's no way that anyone will ever understand without
the experience.
Yeah, without the knowledge that the spirit of the mushroom gives you. Or any like ayahuasca, same thing.
Right. Yeah, in the way that now you've experienced that trauma lives in the body, so every memory that we ever have, every experience we ever have, and beyond that, every experience that our ancestors ever had, all of that is stored in our body somewhere. It's compressed kind of like a zip file from ancestors onto the next generation. And it makes biological evolutionary sense to remember any threat in this lifetime, compress that into our DNA so that our offspring are aware of that threat and they don't have to think about it. So everything lives in our body. We are the culmination of all of our ancestors and the manifestations in our body. And so in that same way, the only way to heal the trauma that is stored in the body is not through the mind, it's through the body and through experience.
Mm-hmm. That's what I experienced in my first ceremony, right? I went in there hoping and praying and putting my intention towards healing my addiction, but it just took me through this whole healing process of other people.
Right. Yeah, you specifically said that many times. This isn't mine, and we talked about this with our friend Vanessa before we even started, that a lot of this is generational healing, and that's what my journey is focused on heavily now.
Yeah, because I didn't even reach my own trauma.
Not until this last time.
No.
Yeah.
Like, I was going through so much pain, and I really got the message that my soul is like suffering so much because all those other people that never made it towards the medicine, towards spiritual awakening, if I may call it that.
That's so
because
funny.
My ego is like, you cannot say you're spiritually awoken.
Yeah.
Maybe right now my ego is still taking over, but in that moment I was one with God, and I felt all this pain and this trauma from people that have always been blocking it away and never got to release it. And I had to go through that so that in the next ceremony I could get to go deeper.
Yeah, and I don't think it really hit home for either of us in that first ceremony, because you kept saying that. You kept saying, I'm suffering for other people, for other people. And I wasn't even sure, perhaps it was people in this lifetime, your family, people.
No, I'm not
but
sure.
But now it makes sense. This is ancestral.
I don't know if it was ancestral, but it was for certainly like previous lives.
Right.
Like my soul had other experiences and a lot of trauma, and that needed to come out, and it did. And I went through hell. Like the first one was hell. It was like hell. Did I say it was like hell? It was.
I think you mentioned it a time or two.
It was so bad. But I had to surrender.
Talk about that just a little bit. You went through a few hours of hell, and what was that process like going from that when I had to help you get through that part. And I remember being there with you and telling you, trust me, everything's temporary, you can get through it. And you just wanted it to be over and over. And the transition to where it started to feel better.
That's where the knowledge and the formula that you are offering saved me. Because the medicine is gonna push you until your ego is dead. I was in hell at the moment, but I also got the knowledge that I'm connected with everything alive, every force of power of the world, of spirit, of whatever. And dying, I wanted to die. I was like, this needs to be over, but I noticed that there was no dying because the soul is internal. So even if I would die, this was pain on the soul part. This was not ego pain. This was like trauma from previous lives. There was no escaping. So thanks to the formula that you're offering, teaching me how to let go, that we cannot hold on to experiences, we cannot try to understand and make stories about those earth experiences and maybe this and maybe that. Complete surrender. Just take me. Just if I die, I die. I know dying is not even an option, but I came here ready to lose it all. And that's why I think people should hit rock bottom to find and allow the medicine to do its job, because you need to be ready to literally die. And when I realized it, and I was like, I'm the one that's observing, I'm the one that's noticing my ego going crazy and all this, that's the moment that I surrendered completely, and the medicine just brought me through the light and to this feeling of positivity, and I'm back to the reality. And I created space by surrendering for all those traumas to flow through me instead of be stuck inside my body and inside my experience. So that was the first ceremony.
Yeah, the first was diving into the trauma, being aware of it. The second ceremony, if you want to talk about that a little bit, it was kind of completely opposite, right? That was a very sort of magical
Completely
one.
opposite. I went in there like with no of course, there's always expectations, but I tried really hard to let go of the expectations, and it was just beautiful. Like I felt all this energy coming into my body. That's the spiritual awakening what I'm talking about. I've been there. I'm not saying I'm Buddha right now, but on that moment I reunited with God and the whole world, all the powers of nature, every like single leaf on the tree like was like shouting, screaming from victory. Like finally the human experience, the soul that's from God, like, put on this earth to experience itself, has found its way back to God. And the energy was just like going through. I was remember I was like, I couldn't. It was insane. And I what else did I experience? Do you remember what I experienced more?
The second ceremony?
No, yeah,
Yeah, the second, yeah, it was a lot of bliss, a lot of euphoria, a lot of very high enlightening experiences and thoughts.
I remember now, like a lot of, and that's where the IFS came in. Like my soul power became so strong. My ego was like, because I completely surrendered. My ego was crushed down, was like there, right, literally in the right corner of me, and I got to sit down with.
That's when you were talking to your addiction.
Yeah, I got to sit down with every single part. Like in IFS, we talk about the exiles, the lot trauma, and the managers that are trying to create a life for us, our behaviors, and the way we interact with people to make sure that we don't trigger our traumas. And then there's the fight or flighters, right? The ones that come in action if by any meaning the exiles get triggered.
Which is how you were living your life the last 8 years, firefighter run.
So I got to sit down with a firefighter, for like the one that's like always there controlling my life, and I got to show real gratitude to it, as I said. And then I got to like,
because it saved your life ultimately for those 8 years, yeah.
Yeah, because if my addiction wasn't there, I probably wouldn't be here anyway.
Right.
On this earth,
in
this lifetime.
Yeah.
But then I really had to. I got the chance to talk to it and to re-educate it and show it is not alone. That the soul is awakened right now, and I can take care and think consciously about how I'm gonna act in this world and retake control. And that's where the stoicism comes in, like where I really understand like everything is only in my power. Is my emotions, my thoughts, and my feelings. So the way, what's the quote again? That for one to harm me or
if it is not enough to be hit or insulted to be harmed. We must decide we're being harmed.
Yeah.
So if somebody succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation.
Exactly. So that's the mind. And if we get to choose how we react on things, and we only get to choose if we're aware of our ego, of our human experience, and we need to distance and just observe from the backseat, from the soul. So everything's in my power, and I learned it, and now I learned it on a mental level, and the mushrooms, they just download it, and I learned they taught me so much. They humbled me down in a very extreme way, but they woke up my soul and saved me, and that's how I got to sit down with my ego, literally with my surviving mechanism, and I got to reinvent it and assist, like redirect the power, like
or kind of recreate your identity.
Yeah, and use the power that he has used to find food and escape reality, just to give me more power and be more resilient in life.
Right.
So that was so big.
And as you healed the pain and the traumas of the exiles that lived in your body, did you know? I mean, now you probably notice it, but notice the need for the firefighter to come in and douse the pain becomes less, right? It diminishes.
Yeah, and it's also like you said, we started at the top first, the firefighter, then the manager, and it's really how it happened, because I didn't got to my trauma in the second ceremony.
No.
That was like last night.
Yeah, right.
Last night, all those trauma. First, I got some very, very, very strong lessons from the mushrooms about respecting and whatever, a lot of things, And then when I completely got it and surrendered again, and really allowed it to teach me and tell me what I'm doing wrong in life, that's when it started to show me all of this trauma that I have been living, and then the shaking came along, and then I really got to release everything.
Yeah, yeah. So your last ceremony, we did 3 ceremonies this week. We did the last ceremony last night. Was then finally after going through the layers of the defensive mechanism, right? Like going through a fortress, right? You break down first the firefighters and the manager and the whole protective layer.
Yeah.
Because that's what's guarding the trauma and the exiles. And then we did that for the first 2 ceremonies, and then last night was about, okay, you reached into the cells of your body, and you didn't have to think about this, of course. Your body just started shaking on its own for a good 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then talk about that a little bit and what that felt like.
It just took over. Like, I felt first all these experiences, and then the ego trying to make sense of these experiences, trying to understand why, and blah, blah. And then I thought about my teachings. Like, I cannot get involved with my ego. My ego doesn't need to make stories about why and where and why my right arm and why is this arm going crazy and this one is, like, I had to surrender. I had to be the one that observed, and I really got to live my teachings. And then my body just took over, and sometimes I was so exhausted I wanted to lay down, and I was like, okay, go again, and then you know how it went. And if people would have seen it, it looked so demonic. And we have this idea of when people have all these shaking things in ceremonies, it's that demonic thing, it's an evil thing, but it's like reborn, it's like rebirth. So I was really enhancing it because I knew with energy motion, it's all energy stuck in the body, so I have to keep going until I can no more. And then, yeah, that's what happened. And then I started stretching and trying to make new space, like rebirth, actually. Like, I reinvented yoga. I was there, like, doing all these stretches. And now I know why yoga is so powerful, because it really creates space for energies to pass through the body. And then we don't use yoga in that way. We use yoga the way where we have to sit with it, we have to feel the pain, we have to breathe into it. And it's also true, we have to breathe into it, but we also have to let it go, and consciously letting go of the energy, not just like the pain. And go a little bit deeper and go a little bit further. It's more about the energy that needs to just pass through. Yeah.
Wow. What a beautiful process, and incredible to witness this profound healing that you went through. Wow. And so how do you feel now after the full week and the whole program is done? How do you feel now compared to when you arrived, and how do you feel now in relation to the addiction?
It's very hard, but I gained a lot of respect, because I gained this understanding that goes beyond the human experience, of the unity of it all, of everything being just one, me, you. We are all manifestations of God, but the plants outside, the water, the trees, everything. So I really got a deep understanding of the respect we should have for one another, even sharing our energy with each other, even just being willing to talk with each other. We have to listen, because it's not for granted. And I have the same thing with food. Food is a gift of God. Thank God we have this delicious way of getting energy in our human experiences, because sun is also energy. But we got food. We get this precious, beautiful,
that's made
delicious
from the sun. I mean, everything comes from the sun.
Yeah, of
plants,
course.
Photosynthesis.
But like, we have this beautiful experience of eating the energy, and it's not for granted, and we cannot take like everything of it. We need to show respect, just take what we need, and then leave the rest to it. And we've been praying every day. I've been fasting like intermittently, just to show respect to the food, and also to calm down my addiction, because everything's in balance. Of course, if I just grudge myself and all my, like, that's very interesting. Like, I read it in the book, like, the whole, when we're addicted, we put all our energy in the addiction, not only in the act of eating, also in the act of trying to avoid it, trying to hide it, trying to heal from it. Like, we go to the store, we might even steal, we we go to therapy because we or to the OA to talk about it and to try to heal and to like all the energy we have, and the worse it gets, the more energy we need, and there is not even energy left. So we cannot heal until we get that imbalance, because we don't have energy left to go to the other side to not eat as much, you know? Is it clear how I'm explaining it?
Yeah, right.
So we need to just, it's like they give the example in the book of like a leaf and it falls down in the water. If you want to take it out, you create more waves in the water. So you need to like very smoothly take it out and then find like let it balance out. Because if we're just gonna grab it with all the power we have, just like we're eating and putting all the power of our life into the act of avoiding or eating or just the addiction, it's gonna create so much weight and it's gonna be so painful. So we really need to like have respect for it, balance it out, make it go a little bit more still, and then we can start to reinvent ourselves with all the energy that we find in the middle of the balance. What's the word again? Tao.
The Tao Te Ching.
The Tao Te Ching. Yeah.
Exactly. Flowing with the universe, right? Surrendering, not trying to force. If we become a conduit of the universe, then we harness the power of the universe, and we are the power of the universe. The cells of our body have been in creation since the beginning of time, and so we have all of the cosmic knowledge and wisdom of the entire universe in our body. So we can activate that, and that's what you experienced.
When the ego goes
and it's right, it's not force, it's surrender and let the universe flow through you. So it's actually a lot easier than trying to force healing.
I could go on and on and on about all the things that I've learned, that I feel like I got the understanding that it's not me that's going to tell people how it's really like, because I am also just a student. I just hope that we can spread the message about from God, about the medicine, the gift of God, literally. How old is the mushroom again? It's like from before the dinosaur, right?
Oh, before anything, before plant life. The plant
it's
life,
like the most
plant
ancient...
life depends on the mycelial network and all that. Fantastic Fungi is a great documentary about that. So the fungal kingdom, billions of years before the plant kingdom,
is the first creation of God.
The first life form, on Earth.
So that's what I want.
And that's what we have in our bodies. That's why it works. That's why the symbiosis. That's why psilocybin is like a lock and key with our brain and our receptors. So we are the universe.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I'm trying to do with this video as well, is just to show that the medicine is a medicine. It's not a taboo. It's not a drug. We should not fear it, because it's the only way we're gonna heal human beings.
It's the only way we're here.
Yeah.
Is because of the fungal kingdom.
Also.
All of it. Yeah.
So I want to thank you for your service, and I hope that many people find their way, if not here, somewhere else, but just to the medicine, and allow it to guide them and heal them and reconnect with the greater source.
And so, as we wrap up, how do you feel now in relation to your addiction? You feel like you have a good grasp on it? You feel more healed? You feel... Well, you mentioned before we were talking about it seems like a very small thing now.
Yeah, it's funny because you just asked me, and I just went on about all this connection, is respect.
Which is the answer.
Which is the answer. Like, it's how I feel. I feel like I understand it now. I can't explain. There's no words. I understand now how everything is just like so much more and so much deeper. And I know how I'm gonna heal. And I'm not saying take the mushroom and poof. Not at all. I have to do the integration. I have to heal myself, and with all the knowledge that I gained. But I know how now.
You're confident.
I'm confident, and I'm conscious, most of all, finally.
And you haven't binged or purged this whole week.
No,
prior to that, another week or so. So things
are going great, and I feel very good about it.
Yeah, right.
And it's not willpower.
Yeah,
there's willpower involved. But willpower is all. It doesn't need as much willpower. It's not just about I cannot begin. Then it's the same thing. It's like all the energy going to the wrong direction. I need to sit with it.
Right. Yeah. So it's important to note again that this whole modality that we have here, it's a protocol built on all the knowledge that I have put together since my healing, so it's the formula, right? It's the specific formula here, which is everything, right? So you were in Wild Other Humans before this, you had a mushroom experience, but you didn't reach that level of profound healing because there wasn't quite the knowledge there. So it's extremely important to understand the knowledge and study and know the science and know physiology and know psychology and all this. And tie it all together. That's how you reach this profound healing. And that's what we teach.
Exactly. Here. It's not just about taking the medicine and go on a trip. No.
That's right.
Like you need to study. You need to try to understand, and then you know what to ask for, and you know how to behave during the trips, and you need proper guidance. So again, I'm not here to convince people about God or anything. I just want people to find healing and see for themselves. As much as I'm craving to heal the world right now because I feel like I know how, I still have to continue my own healing process. Focus on myself is going to be tempting. So for now, I'm still going to share all of this online because I can do that meanwhile that I'm healing myself. But I'm gonna keep educating myself, and hopefully one day I can walk your footsteps and help people with this formula and heal people. Yeah, that would be the greatest honor.
And so that's the path forward for you, it sounds like. Continue healing yourself, and then healing yourselves, we heal the world.
I will keep following my intuition. I'm not sure what else is gonna come, but for now, that would be the greatest honor. Yeah.
And remember the quote that I mentioned before by Stanislav Grof, I believe it is, but the only revolution that will work is the inner transformation of every human being, right? And in theory, if every human on Earth went through this process, we can have a better healed, more peaceful world tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right?
You were gonna send the mushrooms to the government?
No, I wasn't. That's not public. No, there's some history back in the 60s and during the Cold War and during that era that there was plans to send MDMA to all the spiritual leaders and political leaders of the world. So this idea,
and they should.
This idea is definitely.
They can choose which one they take.
You're right.
But if they if all spiritual beings found their spirit again, the world would finally change for real.
Yeah.
For real, because these human-made systems,
right.
they're not making. There's war everywhere.
People and you take a look. It's very obvious now that your eyes, when we open our eyes to what's actually happening, which is one of the byproducts of going on this path. You watch politics and you watch the divisions and the wars, and all of the political leaders have never had this experience, so they're completely run by ego, and this is biological, so it's predictable. That is the only outcome is division. So the effort now with this sort of spiritual awakening that humanity is going through is that hopefully the youth of this generation, will reach a critical mass where more people than not will have this experience, so that when they grow up into political positions, they've had this experience, therefore manifesting a more united world.
Imagine living in a world where politicians know.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Because right now people are just all traumatized inner children, and they're all with all the different, they don't even know like the world is run by children. We are children.
Right. All the political leaders are led by their traumatized parts. Dr. Gabor Mate speaks about this a lot. How Donald Trump, for example, seeks power because didn't get that recognition as a child. So literally our politicians are children. That's why we have wars. So this is the way to resolve that. It'll take time, it'll take generations, decades.
We won't be here.
Maybe several generations.
We will be here in this lifetime.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see it. Hopefully we'll see it in this lifetime.
Hopefully. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you for your sharing your story and sharing your experience.
I want to thank you.
Absolutely, my honor, and thank you for being so brave.
Thank you for doing the service.
Absolutely.
I loved it. Let's hug it out.
Hug it out.
Thank you so much. You changed my life.
My honor. And as a parting gift,
mushrooms.
A book about mushrooms.
Oh my God.
There you go, my gift to you. My
Thank you
book
so
that I
much.
wrote, Taking Back My Mind, My Journey Out of Depression, Psilocybin Mushrooms, upon which everything that you experience here is based.
I'm so curious.
And the formula is in that book.
This is gonna remember me everything that I learned. It's gonna be amazing.
Right. And you'll get to know the details of my journey.
Yeah, I'm gonna start. Oh, I thought it was Spanish. No, this is English.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna start reading this tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I read a thicker book in 1 week, so this one will probably be like.
Oh yeah, a few days.
I will do something else
week.
I'm reading
Yeah.
for the coming week.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Best of luck on the path forward, and we're gonna have to start having retreats, group retreats here, healing, helping others heal every month here at this location. So spread the word.
Will do.
And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much. It's an honor contributing. Namaste.
Namaste.
Come on, please be. Yay! Ding 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 ding.
Whoa, what's on my?
Oh, kidding. We did it.